We up? Yes.
I miscounted, I've only got 6.
That's fine. These guys vote, I don't vote, so give them whatever you got. And you can do that as soon as your agenda item is up. Hang on one second while we get our technical issues. And sir, did you bring a copy for staff, whatever that is? Okay, all right. Yep. That way we'll have one for the record too. You're fine. We can make copies, pictures, use technology. You're fine. And just wait till it's your agenda item and then you can pass them out. Okay. Then we're going to do a historic architectural review board meeting first. And I got sound out here. We're just trying to go live. Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and call this regularly scheduled Historic Architectural Review Board to order. I will note that we're not streaming on YouTube live right now, but we'll record the meeting and we'll post it on YouTube. We'll figure out what the issue is there later. I'd like to start with an approval of the agenda as it was published.
Approved.
I have a motion from Naeem, second from Jordan. Any changes or amendments to the motion on the floor from the board? Public comments on the motion on the floor? Just to approve the agenda as it was published. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Would everybody please rise for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Long, lead us. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was published?
So moved.
I have a motion from Naeem, second from Jordan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. I'll take us to our first agenda items, update on funded state small matching grant for historic resources survey. Been working on this for a while. John Paul, tell us all about it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And before I get into the presentation, I'm just going to wait for the PowerPoint to load and go full screen. You can, F5 works, my keyboard. There you go.
Getting it.
Yep.
There it is.
Awesome. And we're ready to roll. So tonight I'm going to be presenting on behalf of JMT. They are the contractor that was selected from a bidding process for the Historic Resource Survey. The Historic Resource Survey is something that is recommended to be updated every 10 years. This would put us at our 12th year since our last update from 2011. The city, Wendy Kinzer, the former principal planner, had secured a small matching grant from the Florida Department of State. They did fund the request, and we are completing that now. The survey will go over our 83 existing contributing structures and examine 40 additional potential contributing structures. These also include, outside of the district, the Gray residence, which is where the Newberry Plaza is proposed, as well as a small historically black cemetery in the Avalon Woods development. And without further ado, let's get into the presentation. We'll first go over GMT as a company, the project managers, an introduction to the project, what is a Florida master site file, how the survey is completed, the survey area, and the potential new properties. So the project leads are Christina Leggio and Elizabeth Price. Christina Leggio has 11 years of experience in architectural history, and she's also qualified under federal regulations to complete such a survey. Elizabeth Price, also 5 years experience and also certified to complete this type of survey. They've actually been here in town. I don't know if you've seen them. There's so much work going on right now with FDOT. These folks were also out there with high-vis vests, taking pictures and everything. GMT is a 100% employee-owned multidisciplinary planning, design, engineering, and construction consulting firm established in 1971. Cultural Resources Groups works on a combination of architectural history and related issues. Cultural Resources staff are qualified for positions they hold as outlined in the Secretary of Interior's professional qualification standards. The Department of Interior's the federal agency that establishes the historic guidelines that we operate under. And they do work in Florida and countrywide, so they're not new to the Florida historic properties game, as I would put it. City of Newberry Historic Structures Survey. The project consists of updating the 83 as well as 40 additional. These are properties that may have become eligible based on their age to now be included as a contributing structure and have a Florida master site file submitted for the structure. All this does is just document the structure at the time that the survey is done. They'll be producing a survey log sheet and a final survey report. The project is funded by the small matching grant because we're a certified CLG or certified local government with the state. We do not have to match that up to the amount of $31,000. Previous surveys done in Newberry, Florida, 1986, 2011. And Florida Master Site File is just an inventory of historic structures that have cultural significance, or they are a architectural style that doesn't have the craftsmanship any longer to produce at the volume it was produced in the past, or perhaps the materials that were used in the construction are no longer available. Cypress was a very popular wood used back in the day. A lot of houses still exist today with cypress. Unfortunately, it's just not financially viable for construction nowadays. Just gonna skip through some of these. So our 83, they'll be updating, 40, they'll be adding. And here is a picture of the crew out in Newberry already. So taking some photos. And this is the historic district. Do you have a question, Lane?
I just thought it was funny. It's a picture of the person taking pictures.
Yeah, just so you could recognize them. Yeah, what they'll look like when they're out there. Since they've already been here, it may not be much use, but I think they will be around for the remainder of this week, though. And this is the survey area, City of Newberry. So, like I said, some of the areas that they're looking at are outside of the district. And that's it, essentially. Yeah, in summary.
All right, thank you, Jean Paul. Any
Thank you.
questions? And Ms. Paula, I apologize, I got distracted with the technical. I should introduce you at the very beginning. This is your very first meeting, I think, with the HARB. So Ms. Paula Wilson is an long-term Newberry family. She's the artist behind the Veterans Memorial that you may have seen floating around, and we appreciate your willingness to serve. And always jump in with questions. You guys are the board, so during presentations, after presentations, anything you don't understand, this is an update on something the board voted on previously, so you shouldn't feel like you're not coming into the middle of it, because you are coming in the middle of a conversation. So anybody got any questions for Jean Paul? Naeem?
Hey JP, can you remind me one more time? Is there a requirement on how many times a year we got to do this survey, or is it something as we go along?
It's not required, it's recommended like most of the stuff for historic, it's, a lot of it is recommendation, but every 10 years, every decade.
The last time we did it was 1986?
2011.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Miss Kathy? Yeah.
86 would have been long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what.
That was the original, yeah. Great question.
All right.
Can we do it, like every 3 years, 4 years? 10 years seems like a long span.
With,
Is it possible?
it's a potential. For this one, we're doing it through grant funding because we simply don't have the qualified staff to do it. So if the city feels it worthy to update every 3 years, then that's something we can do. The staff should be keeping, or we do keep like an inventory of the property. So as one gets demolished, we'll update that inventory, or just the rolling age of a structure. We'll be aware that there are 40 additional now. So let's take a look at that. But definitely, yeah, that's something we can look at.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, hear none. Thank you, John Paul. I appreciate it. Topics for member discussion. Why don't we start this way and break it up a little bit. Naeem, you got anything you want to bring to the board's attention?
Not today.
All right. Mr. Long? Nothing? Mr. Fairfield?
I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Polo?
Not at this time.
Ms.
No.
Thomas? Mrs. Parker?
No.
No? You got anything? All right, well, the Veterans Committee has posted their gala up. That's on Facebook. If you want to get a ticket and support that effort, that would be great. But just sharing that information, letting folks know it's November 17th, Clark Plantation. The website is live. You can buy a brick. You can get involved. So. Lots and lots of different ways, so very excited. It's a gala, yeah. There's gonna be lots of food. It's gonna be. So there you go, right? Awesome.
Yeah. Now you're talking, prime rib.
All right, public comment on the HARB meeting. Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, Mrs. Parker. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Paula. Y'all are obviously welcome to stay for the P&Z meeting, but you do not have to.
Is it possible for me to be heard?
You're here to speak to the P&Z. We're about to start that in 1 second.
Okay.
We got a whole other meeting. Any chance we got YouTube fixed in the last 3 minutes? No? Okay. Just checking. We do. Can, Miss Missy, can you bring, some waters out for the board when we get a chance? 5. 3. That's why I said 3. 1, 2, 3. I've got water. They got water. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Are we ready to go?
I'm running out.
Live again. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call this regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning Board meeting of Monday, July 17th to order. I'll start with approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion from Naeem.
Second.
Second from Donald. Any questions, amendments to the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion from Naeem, second from Jordan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That'll take us to our first public hearing, which is quasi-judicial. Request for site and development plan for 5,000 square foot industrial building with the Newberry Commercial Park. We are entering into a quasi-judicial procedure. This means the commission will stop being a legislative body and will become a judicial board, which means that we have to follow certain rules and adhere to a different standard of decision-making. The primary rule we must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when the judicial board makes a decision. This standard states the following, and I quote, all public testimony taken under oath, everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. Giving opinion testimony is limited to experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. I'm going to ask the city attorney to read into the record the resolution by title only now.
This is Resolution 2023-44, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan for 5,000 square foot industrial building within a commercial intensive CI zoning district pursuant to Section 14.12 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, generally located at the northeast corner of Northwest 8th Lane and Northwest 235th Terrace, parcel number 01894-010-004, consisting of approximately 1.28 acres, lying within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I'm also going to ask the attorney to swear in applicant, staff, anybody requesting to speak. And I'm going to let's go ahead and swear in everybody for every quasi-judicial night. We're going to do it one time. So if you're here to talk about anything on the agenda tonight that's a quasi-judicial, go ahead and stand up and we'll swear you in now. Just save us a step later. So she's going to go around the room and she'll say, just give your name and say you do. Madam Attorney.
All right, I'll get everyone's names first and then I'll swear everyone in. So we have staff's names. Your name, sir, up in the front.
Michael Jones.
Michael Jones.
Tim Deaton. Ross Ambrose. Lee Smith.
I think you got him.
All right. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, before we begin, we need to disclose any ex parte communications and disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. Remember that ex parte communications are any conversations or transmission of information that may have bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. And I'm going to ask the board to go ahead and disclose any ex parte for any of the quasi-judicials, and we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. Ms. Kathy? Ms. Polo? Jordan? Don?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'm a non-voting member, but I have none to report either. Now I'm going to explain the order of the presentation that we're going to follow for every quasi-judicial tonight. If no new person enters the room, I'm not going to reread this for every quasi-judicial, and staff, I'm going to ask y'all to help me pay attention if anybody new walks in and I miss them. But we will first hear with staff overview on each quasi-judicial, then the applicant will have the opportunity to make a presentation with no time limit. Then we will get staff a report and recommendation, also with no time limit. I've not been contacted by anybody wishing to claim a third-party intervener status. That's going to move us to public comment. And any members of this public wishing to speak to any particular quasi-judicial will have 3 minutes to do so. Then we'll let the applicant cross-examine and the staff cross-examine. Then members of the decision-making body through the chair can ask questions of the applicant or any participants. Then we'll hear final arguments from the applicant and the staff if we need them. Then the city attorney will advise decision-making bodies applicable law and factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the application. Then the board will deliberate the application, and after deliberation, the vote will be taken to approve the conditions, continue, or deny the application. We'll follow that procedure for every quasi-judicial tonight, and we'll begin with the staff overview. John Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John Paul Perez with the Planning and Economic Development Department. As read into the record by the city attorney, this is a request for a site plan for a business called The Best Restoration. They will be located in Newberry Commercial Park. It's a 5,000 square foot building. The site is about 1.28 acres. Here's an aerial showing the subject parcel in cyan and the commercial park with a yellow dashed outline. And again, 5,000 square foot industrial building and related site improvements. Right now it's just a blank slate. So at this point, the applicant is available for their presentation, and then I will return with our findings and recommendation. And they haven't provided a PowerPoint, so they're available for questions if you have any, and they can always come back afterwards to answer questions of the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have a presentation?
We do.
Okay. But you don't have a PowerPoint?
We do have a PowerPoint.
We do have a PowerPoint. I think we may have a miscommunication about whether we have a PowerPoint.
We do it without the presentation, I guess. Sergio
Hey,
Reyes.
give him just 10 seconds here. I will clarify. If not, I bet you got it down, Pat.
Okay.
Just for post-wits.
Okay, that's fine. That's all
Do
right.
you have it down by heart?
Yes.
All right.
Sergio Reyes with the EDA Consultants. We are presenting today, like indicated by John Paul, we are presenting a 5,000 square feet industrial building. Can I use the presentation and maybe we can go through that? There you go. So
There are no images, though?
Yeah, if you keep going forward, there's some site
okay, perfect. There you go. So we are presenting today, provide 5,000 square foot industrial building. The building is gonna be for a business called The Best Restoration. What they do is they clean and restore carpets and furniture and stuff like that. Most of the business is done all over the county. So the property is around 2.8 acres, 1.28 acres. It's located in the intersection on Northwest 8 Lane and 253rd Terrace. It's lot 4 of the North Newberry Commercial Park. Is indicated in the exhibit. That's the location of the plan. So we've been working with the city to present this project and submit our site plan. One point I want to mention, we've been working with Mr. Ambrose, there's the neighborhood to the west of us, to do some improvements of the right-of-way, as indicated in here. Sorry, let me do in this, it's probably make it easy, but okay. The road in front, and the west side of the road, oh, it's getting missing in there. The west side of the road, they share with our neighborhood to the west, and we are proposing to enhance that right-of-way with some landscape and provide some buffer to the properties to the north. Besides that, I'll be glad to answer any questions, comments the board might have.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll hear from staff first, and then we'll bring you back up if we have any questions.
Thank you.
So this is the proposed site plan. you can see the orientation of the building on the properties towards the west. Sergio, representing the Best Restoration, was referring to the neighbor directly west of them, that is Portaserve, and the road, 235 Terrace, was intended to connect to Newberry Corners. Plan has changed, and now there is a guardrail there preventing cross-access between the two. There's been a road, that stretch of 235th Terrace north of 8th Lane to the terminus of it, where Newberry Corners begins, was constructed by Ross from Portaserve. And when he understood that there was a site plan proposed across the street from him, he expressed some concern, and they were able to work it out. And as part of that, is the applicant has offered to provide some landscaping at the terminus of Northwest 235th Terrace, and if it's cost feasible, also provide some small public parking spaces there as well, or maybe a loading area. Not sure how it'll look, but those will be things that the city will have to accept at some point. So that is not in the packets. That is a conversation that has happened over the weekend, and that when the board makes this motion would be something that we ask that the board includes in the motion. If it is to approve, is to include the condition offered by the applicant. So this is the site plan with some annotations showing ingress and egress. It'll be on the south side and the west side. There is a vegetative buffer along their rear there against the residential properties. Only a portion of the site is being developed at this time. We have asked that there be a terminal connection to the other side for future utility connection, should it be developed independent of this one. There is no minimum lot area in a commercial zoning district, so they could be of any size as long as you can fit all of your requirements on that property. All right. In dark blue is the building. It'll be a pre-engineered building, very similar to every single building out there already. So there are no architectural renderings to present to you. They're simply engineer sheets. So. Some parking in the front. We're resolving some landscaping comments, just right to your right place because of the power lines in the front. And that's essentially the site plan. Here are just some of the surrounding properties, so you can see that the proposed building would look remarkably similar to the other pre-engineered buildings that are out there. This is the landscape plan showing an array of southern magnolias, some ground shrubbery and bushes to provide that screening for the residential neighbors. Just a little bit closer so you can see the amount of plants that are going in there. There's a lot of plants. Site plans do have criteria. Staff did review the proposed site plan against the criteria, found it compliant or consistent with the criteria. And there are some outstanding comments, but they're minor in nature. Essentially just notes on the plans that we'll have to correct. And so we've just added one condition from staff, that is to resolve the outstanding comments so they can move forward. And that's included in the resolution. Staff does find the request consistent with the land development regulations and comprehensive plan. If this is approved tonight, it would be heard at the August 14th Board of Adjustment / City Commission hearing. And that completes my presentation. Do you have questions for staff or the applicant at this time?
We might get to there in just 1 second. Okay, public comment. Anybody from the public here to speak to this agenda item? Come on up, sir. Don't forget to introduce yourself for the camera. All those folks watching at home tomorrow.
Rossi Ambrose. I own Portaserve, but I also own the property that Portaserve is on. And really, I support this project. I think they're going to be a good neighbor. I've enjoyed working with the staff at the city of Newberry. I just think as you make your motion to accept this, if you could formalize Mr. Reyes's, willingness to do some public improvements at the end of the street, that'd be very important. And the reason I'm bringing this up is really is about process. There were originally some deed restrictions on both our lots, having to do with driveways. And so for me to build on my lot and allow the same driveway, it was agreed to that I would do a public improvement, which included lime rocking and paving that street. And so as we've had conversations, the idea of doing a public improvement, which would really, that end of that street has had fly dumping and some other issues, it would actually really help improve the transition from that residential neighborhood into the park, planting a native tree that would grow over time and be a really nice, it's a great spot for it, and potentially adding some parking spaces in there would work well. Staff and everybody has been in the conversation, and the only thing I think at this point would be the support of the Planning and Zoning Board, that would be a good idea in the interest of the community.
Thank you, sir.
Right, thank you.
Love it when we hear that people like to work with our staff, and really like to hear High Springs commissioners talk about how wonderful it is to work in Newberry. That's great. We appreciate it. Other public comment on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go, applicant, did you hear anything from staff that you'd like to cross-examine? Did you hear anything you disagree with?
Mr. Chair, no, I agree with all the conditions on Mr. Ambrose's request. We agree with those requested.
Okay. Staff, did you hear anything you'd like to cross-examine?
None.
No? All right. Member decision-making body, do you have any questions? Jordan.
John Paul, this is more so for you because I don't feel like reading all of this, but I read the call-out sheet, and if you flip to the site plan, right there, you can stop right there. Either one was fine. On the south corner of the property, on that entrance, it calls for not a stormwater, but lost my mind. Underdrive.
Oh, like a culvert?
Culvert, thank you, sorry,
Yeah.
I totally lost my train of thought. There's no culvert at the top. What is just north of that dead-end road? I know you said there's a guardrail, but is there a mini basin at all, or is that just flat?
No, so.
Is there gonna be an issue? Is there another culvert that needs to be put in?
Great question. I think that's just a direct flow.
Okay.
There's a master stormwater system, and
Okay.
all the stormwater goes all the way to the west. You'll see like a sand pit, it
Yep.
looks like. That is the basin for the entire development. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's all master planned,
Okay.
the stormwater.
Okay.
I mean, I can give you, it fits.
Excellent
what it
question.
is, because it's crowned between the residential neighborhood and commercial park. So the residential neighborhood, where it's closed, flows to the residential
Hey,
neighborhood.
hang on one second, Ross. That's getting a little too deep for not to be in the record.
It's actually designed that way that you won't need a culvert there. There's quite a slope between where the commercial park starts and then down to the road. Versus everything is graded in there to drain like it's supposed to, which actually was brilliant when it was laid out. That's why the city of High
Three
Springs
compliments in
has
one night.
one of their industrial parks has not done well because they didn't allow for drainage.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the board?
I have a question for staff.
Naame.
So on Northwest 253rd Terrace, I see that there's a barricade there. For the sake of the homeowners, I take it that those homeowners do not want that to become an access road. With that being said, is there any way the city can work into either killing that altogether where it becomes a giant buffer? Because I'm not gonna lie, here you have a road, it hits a guardrail. It shows that there's potential for that to be open. I can see that becoming an issue for the city later on. Is there any way we can look into making the argument to either buff it all the way across and make it a dead end at that point, or like, that way there is no ifs, ands, or buts for that? So if you go to, literally between, Portal Serve and where the new structure's going.
Yeah, so currently, you can see past the guardrail and into Newberry Corners. What the gentleman from PortaServe has requested is some landscaping be proposed in that area. that'll initiate kind of the beginning of a vegetative buffer. It is public right-of-way, so I don't want to speak on behalf of other city departments about improvements or budgets that I don't have control over. It is something I can bring up with Jamie Jones or the city manager regarding additional improvements up there in that area.
John Paul, I think what Naeem is asking is, and I think it's already closed off.
It is.
Right?
It is.
That's what he's asking. So he's just saying he wants to
Like,
get it on the record that that's
Yeah.
not going to be an access into the
Because
neighborhood.
I
There
don't
is
want- I
a
don't
physical
want our-
barrier that will remain in place.
I don't want our applicant to spend costs on vegetation to make it even look better.
Mhm.
And because it doesn't look nice or appealing with the guardrail.
Yeah.
To eventually that the city's like, hey, technically this is an open road and sorry that you spent all this money on vegetation, we're gonna go ahead and open it up. I just wanna put it on record like, hey, we're not planning on opening this road. So the gentleman decides to make it vegetation to appease the area. It's not, I don't want him losing money, in other words. And I don't want our residents there getting upset as they're opening up that road.
Certainly.
Thank you.
John Paul, do we have, the city have a list of a non-invasive or invasive allowable horticulture?
I think we rely on FDEP's list, yeah.
Other questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you, John Paul. Did you want to make a final argument, sir? You don't have to. Did you want to make a final argument? John Paul? No? All right, Madam Attorney, would you please advise us to make a body, and the attorney's going to give us this advice one time, as long as no one new enters the room, we're not going to ask her to give this advice for the remaining quasi-judicials. Go ahead.
The decisions you make tonight must be supported by substantial competent evidence.
Thank you, ma'am. Deliberations. If there are no deliberations, do you have any more questions, any more thoughts? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion with the caveat about the landscaping. We need to put that into the motion.
So with that also, with the, sorry, Joe, right? Is that his, or what's
Ross.
his- Ross, sorry. Ross's request basically like consistency on what he was requested. Is that something that needs to be on the motion as well? Or
I think the motion just needs to be that we encourage the agreement that's already been made for some off-site improvements at the end of that road, including landscaping. Does that about cover it?
That'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, because it seems like both are in agreement, so it's like, might as well put it on the record.
Always love it when people, yep. Okay. Mr. Fairfield?
Get it to work, it's not cooperate a minute. I move to accept and to provide on the motion a community development project at the end of the street as however staff sees fit.
Thank you, sir. I have a motion. I have a motion from Jordan, a second from Ms. Kathy. Comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And that will take us to our second quasi-judicial. No one new has entered the building. Thank you, sir. Have a great night. So we are going to go straight to reading the resolution into the record, Madam Attorney.
This is Resolution 2023-40, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan approval for construction of an approximately 4,500 square foot warehouse and open storage yard facility in a mixed-use MU zoning district pursuant to Section 1412 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, located generally at east of US 41, State Road 45, and north of Northwest 9th Place, identified as a portion of parcel number 01897-001-010, consisting of a more or less 1 acre within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's go ahead and start with the staff overview.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madam Attorney. I'm presenting Resolution 2023-40/SDP 2301. It's a site and development plan for shore builders at Avalon Wood. As discussed, the this is a portion of partial 01897-001-010. It's approximately 1 acre of land. The project name is Shore Builders at Avalon Wood. Petition is by S&T Newberry Holding, and the agent is JB Pro. The property is right now in zoning district of mixed use, and the future land use is also mixed use. Here is it generally located. It's north of Northwest 9th Place and east of State Road 45, US 27. This is actually a part of master plan of Avalon Wood. It is coming with two more petition. One petition is coming after this. That's SD 2304. That's the town center storage. It's in the same area where this is. This is 1 acre and another one is 3 acres. And it is also coming with another petition on SD 2303. That's the stormwater basin for the commercial portion, which will be heard on 7/24 commission hearing. The petition at present is a site and development plan for Soar Builders, including 4,500 square feet of warehouse building, outdoor storage yard, and related improvement. This is the basic site plan which was submitted. It has a storage yard, open yard, and the warehouse, and they have also provided parking, and the parking has ADA parking also. At this point, applicant has to present, but I think they trust me a lot, so they don't have a presentation right now. So but the JB Pro representative, Chris and Easy are here if you have any question. Otherwise, I can proceed with my.
Proceed.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, this is the project where it is. It's a part of the total commercial, all commercial area of Avalon Wood. This is the aerial view of that. The proposed building finished elevation looks like this. It has an ingress and regress from Northwest 9th Place, and it will have its own parking areas, and it will have an open yard behind the building. Site and development plan criteria include ownership and control. Density, we don't have to look into traffic. They have done a traffic study with the Avalon Wood phase 4 to 6, and we have that in our with the application. They have the parking, and stormwater basin is coming together in the next hearing. We have already talked with the sanitary and the utility, and amenities are there. So basically the condition for approval is prior to issuance of building permit, the owner or the agent shall submit the updated site plan with illustration of Knox box on the property gate for the fire trucks to go in. And then we have some comments from utility. And thus, the prior to issuance of the building permit, the owner or the assigned agent should have a revised site plan submitted to the city manager addressing the staff comment on 6/22/23, which is included in the Exhibit B in Resolution 2023-40. And also, we have requested for the trash can in the property, and they have said it will be inside the warehouse. If it's inside the warehouse, we have agreed that they will need a letter of agreement from the Waste Pro. And with all that, I think staff finds that the request is consistent with the City of Newberry land development regulation and comprehensive plan. If the board agreed today and approve, it will go for Board of Adjustment approval on August 14, 2023. And that's from my side. I'm there for questions.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll get to that in just 1 second. I've not been contacted by anybody wishing to claim a third-party intervener status on this one as well, so that's going to move us to public comment. Any members of the public here to speak to this agenda item tonight have 3 minutes to do so. Don't everybody rush for the podium at once. Okay. Did you hear anything you wanted to cross-examine, sir? All right. You're not going to cross-examine yourself. So we're going to go down to members of the decision-making body. Do you have any questions? No? 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 Final arguments? Don't have to if you don't want to. All right. We've already been advised about applicable law and factual findings. So I'll have deliberations. If there are no deliberations, I'll entertain a motion to, can you put the recommended motion back on the board? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Anybody? Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
I move as stated.
Okay, I have a motion from Jordan to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second from Donald. Any questions from the dais on the motion on the floor? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That's going to move us to item 4. Again, no one new has entered the room, so I'm just going to ask the attorney to read resolution 2023-41 into the record for us.
This is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan for construction of approximately 49,500 square foot self-storage facility in a mixed-use MU zoning district pursuant to Section 1412 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, located generally at east of US 41, State Road 45, and north of Northwest 9th Place, identified as a portion of the parcel number 01897-001-010 on a more or less 3 acres within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, staff, Zuma, go ahead. Give us our overview. If the applicant doesn't want to talk on this one, just go right on through.
Okay. I think they trust me a lot.
That's a lot of trust, all right. Like it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madam Attorney. So this is Resolution 2023-41, SDP 2304, Site and Development Plan for the Town Center Storage at Avalon Wood. This is a part of the same parcel 01897-001-010. It's approximately 3 acres. The current zoning is mixed use, and the future land use is mixed use. The project name is Town Center Storage at Avalon Wood. The petition is by S&T Newberry Holding LLC, and the agent is JB Pro. This is the approx location of the property. So this is the bigger property on the west side of the red portion there. It's east of SR 45 US 27 and north of Northwest 9th Place. Again, this is the portion, the commercial portion of the Avalon Wood Phase 4 to 6. It comes with 2 other petitions, SD 2301, that is Shore Builder, and SD 2303, that's the Stormwater Basin for the commercial area, which will be heard on 7/24. The site plan request include approximately 49,500 square feet of self-storage facility, 7 building with 170 by 25 dimension, 1 building by with 170 by 35 dimension, and 2 buildings with 185 by 35 dimension. The finished site plan looks like this. There will be 10 buildings, and again, the ingress and egress is through Northwest 9th Place. Both these places will have the same entry. The application presentation, they don't have the presentation. They trust me, so they are here for questions. So going back again, it's the same. The subject property lies here, and it is in the mixed use. This is the aerial view of the property. Again, for this, we did meet most of the criteria. We have rounds of comments with the applicants, and finally, we agreed to whatever is outstanding, and they said they will be doing all those corrections before going to the building permit. So conditions for approval is prior to issuance of building permit, the owner shall submit an updated site plan with illustration of Knox box on the property gate, and prior to issuance of the building permit, they have to provide a revised site plan addressing staff comment, which is a part of Exhibit B in Resolution 2023-41. If board agrees for it and if approved, it will be going for the Board of Adjustment on August 14, 2023. That's from my side. I am ready for questions.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. I've not been contacted by anybody wishing to claim a third-party intervener status on this agenda item, so that's going to move us to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to speak to this agenda item have 3 minutes to do so. Seeing none. Did you hear anything that you need to cross-examine? Okay. Member decision-making body, you have any questions? Ms. Polo.
Mr. Chair, I have 2 questions. Number 1, are these, I'm assuming these are open roofed facilities. It's not climate controlled roll-up door metal building items, correct?
We just want you to work tonight, Chris.
He was getting too comfortable over there. He needed to get up and talk to me for a little bit.
Mr. Chair, Christopher Potts, Director of Engineering. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Florida and Georgia. To answer your question, they are not climate controlled. They're exterior entries, so there'll be doors on the outside. Each unit will have access to on the outside.
Okay, so this isn't just like boat and RV storage with just a cover roof.
It's
metal, like
correct. They're all metal buildings, self-storage, no RVs, no boats. Similar to what's down the street across from Town Center.
My other question, and I'm not sure if this is, Mr. Potts would be the one to answer this, but what is the speed limit where people are going to be pulling out right there? Does anybody know what that is?
So it connects to 41 Commerce Park, which that is 25, I believe. 25 miles an
I
hour.
don't know that I've ever actually seen a speed limit sign.
I know. I thought that by then, like, it was up in like the 45 to 50.
Are you talking about on 27, or are you talking about inside the park?
I'm talking about pulling out. Like, I was picturing boats and RVs and stuff like that pulling out.
These sites do not have direct access to 41.
Right. So, and they're not pulling out RVs and boats, which was what my concern was, that. Because, like, on Newberry Road, going into Gainesville, like, that storage facility that's out there that has those, there's a lot of vision around it, and in this section, there's not. So that's what I was asking. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we are, and that's a little off topic, but we are working with FDOT, because that's a state road, because we have neighborhoods coming in there, and so we're trying to stagger the speed limit a little bit more, but that's not for this application. Any other questions about this? All right. Would you like to make a final argument?
No, I don't.
Would you like to make a final argument, Ms.
I'm good.
All right. We've already been advised about the law. We'll enter into deliberations. If there are no deliberations, I'll have a motion with the conditions that were presented here.
So move with the conditions.
I have a motion from Naeem. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Donald. Comments, questions, motion floor from the dais? Public comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That'll take us to our third quasi-judicial tonight, right? Are we on the fourth?
I think we're all the way to the end.
We're all the way to the end. All right. Madam Attorney, would you please read Resolution 2023-47/SD23-06 into the record for us?
This is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving with appropriate conditions and safeguards the preliminary plat of the Postwood subdivision as authorized under Section 516 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations for a planned residential development, PRD, zoning district on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. John Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John Paul Perez, Planning and Economic Development Department. The request before you tonight is for a preliminary plat for what was known as the post-40 planned residential development. At the time it came through, it was proposed anywhere between 165 and 180 units. That project is now back in the form of a preliminary plat, now known as Post Woods. This is the general location of the property. Here's an aerial image showing the general crossroads and the limits of the property. It's Northwest 8th Lane and 266, so where it terminates and goes west. The preliminary plat is pursuant to the approval of the planned residential rezoning petition that had its own development order with a list of obligations that the developer is required to do. I will not list those out here. I did include the ordinance in the agenda packet. If you have specific questions about some of the things that we required them to do, I'll be happy to answer that. The plat as it came in only has 166, so it's 14 below the potential 180. Both numbers are within the allowed density for the property. This one comes in at about 3.5 units per acre. for a total of 48.2 acres for the site. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to EDA for their presentation, and after they complete their presentation, I'll conclude with staff's findings and recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We got a PowerPoint this time. All right. You did great without it last time.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, board members. Sergio Reyes, with EDA consultant. As indicated by John Paul, we are presented today the preliminary plat, which basically is apply the approval of the PRD. So the property, as shown in the area, there are some, as you can see over there, there are some old subdivision lots that were created. So we are creating brand new subdivision in that area. Passed with PRD preliminary plat, approximately 48 acres of land. The location is between the 300 and 500 block on Northwest 266th Street. The number of parcels, the land use is low density, 1 to 4 units per acre. We are proposing around 3.5 units per acre at this time. Zoning district, you probably the members that have been here for a long time, you saw before last year or early this year that we rezoned the property to PRD, Planned Residential Development. Existing land use, like I said, low density, 1 to 4 units per acre. The zoning, PRD. We are proposing in the preliminary plat 166 lots, single family detached. That is less than the approved by the PRD. The approved PRD was 180 lots maximum. It's consistent with the planned residential development plan we got approved before, and consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use as we showed before. This was the approved PRD. Basically, they showed two different areas. There are areas in the north, we call it area number 1, and area number 2. The difference between the two areas is the size of the lots. The area number 1, it got larger lots, and area number 2, it got smaller lots. The total number of lots at the time of the PRD, it was 180 lots. Again, we are proposing 166 lots at this time. Just to confirm, the area 1, the size of the lot is 6,600 square feet, and the area number 2, the lots are 5,500 square feet. This is the preliminary plat, an idea of the preliminary plat, complies with the PRD, 166 lots, area number 1, all the lots are 6,600 square feet or larger. Area number 2 are 5,500 square feet or larger. Also, the proposed preliminary plat is going to have internal sidewalks all around all the street. It's going to have sidewalks, and it will offer also or present couple of pedestrian paths. One in between those lots, that green area that you see in there, is a pedestrian path going south to 3rd Avenue, Rock Street, and also along 266, we're going to have a pedestrian path located in the east side of the right way. In summary, project is designed to comply with all the applicable city regulations, including the approved PRD, consisting with the plan, city comprehensive plan and future land use map. It's comparable with the area. Proposed density is lower than the comp plan allow. We have perimeter buffers, so we got buffers to the north, to the east, and to the south. And the west is where we are proposing the pedestrian path all the way from the north part of the project all the way to Rock Street or 3rd Avenue, same road. And we provide green space, around 34% is a green space that is based in stormwater facilities and other buffers and so on, pedestrian paths, so on. One thing that I want to mention, we eliminate our mobile home as a permitted use, so it won't be mobile homes at this property. With that, we'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. We'll hear from our staff report recommendation, and then if we have any questions, we'll call you back up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chair, I should say. As Sergio pointed out, this is the preliminary development plan that was approved by the City Commission. It is 2 areas, has connections to the east and south, and main ingress-egress will be on the west, as well as the north. This is a snapshot of the actual legal plat, showing the lot layouts being consistent with the approved master plan. Staff does find the request consistent with the land development regulations, comprehensive plan, as well as the adoption ordinance for the rezoning. And before I conclude and give the recommendation, I just wanted to mention that process as part of the planned residential development zoning district. They operate very similar to PDs and PUDs, as they're called in other places, where there is a preliminary development plan adopted and then a final development plan adopted. The preliminary development plan is included with the zoning and land use. Land use was already in place, so they just did zoning. With that came the ordinance, as well as all the conditions of approval that go with the PRD. Following that will be the final development plan. That'll come with the construction plans as well as the final plat. Construction plans will follow the preliminary plan, so that'll be the next thing we will see. We have been putting construction plans on consent agenda because it is a technical review, and there is not a lot of judgment used in making that outside of finding it compliant. However, in cases like this, these will receive a presentation to the board. With the final development plan come additional items, the aesthetics of the neighborhood that the board will want to see before something is okayed for building permit. So that'll all be forthcoming and is not part of the preliminary plat. This is just defining the boundaries of the property and where the roads will go and what the lots layouts will be like. So the additional information that you may be looking for will be forthcoming. All right. Thank you.
It's always good advice.
Yes. And with that, we do recommend approval. If approved, recommended for approval tonight, it will go to the August 14th City Commission. Last comment about process. Construction plans and final plat only go to City Commission. They do not go to the Planning and Zoning Board. So you will not see this project again at the Planning and Zoning Board. All right? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, I've not been contacted by anybody wishing to claim a third-party intervener status on this one, so that's going to take us to public comment. Any members of the public coming out tonight to speak to this agenda item have 3 minutes to do so. Okay, so hearing none. Applicant, did you hear anything that you want to cross-examine?
No.
No? All right. Staff, did you hear anything that you want to cross-examine?
None.
Okay, thank you. Members of the decision-making body, do you have any questions of the applicant or of staff? This is an extra confusing one because of the pre-existing plat, but go ahead. Naeem?
It's all right. I had a couple questions because this came before us last year. I don't want to bring up the past of that, but there was discussion of tiny homes. And I know that's not something that we're gonna, what's going on the lots. I'm just curious to know, like, if they're willing to say no mobile homes now, and that's great to hear. Is tiny home something that is being added still? Is that still on the table?
It is
I know
still.
that was a concern of the board last year.
Great question, Board Member Urchin. That is still a note on the approved preliminary development plan. I'm going to defer to Sergio Reyes on this question.
Mr. Mayor, we are today presenting a plat with 166 lots and certain size of those lots per the PRD. We are not proposing any tiny homes at this time.
Okay. So with that being said, with the amount of plat, I was trying to look, the amount of traffic on 266 to sustain the amount of homes that are about to be built. Whether they're regular homes or townhomes, whatever it decides to, which is fine. Is there any kind of road study that's gonna be required by the city, since that's, I would take it, that's a city road, correct? Northwest, 266?
It is indeed, and the city does have money budgeted to repair some of that road. Part of the approval of this development last year was that there be reconstruction of 266 from 3rd Ave all the way up to 8th Lane. It's much needed in that area, and the city has offered a maximum contribution of $200,000. The city will be handling from 3rd Ave South. The developer will be handling from 3rd Ave North to 8th Lane. And those drawings, the construction plans, will include that scope of work. Since it is a condition of approval, we would like to see that laid out in plan form before moving it forward.
Yeah, since we're not talking about like house sizes and whatnot, but from the plats, the amount of plats that are there, it seems like a significant number, and I just wanna make sure that that road, I get so many complaints about that road on the forums, that it's just like you're adding more to it, so it's just to ensure that there's studies being done on this, and before we continuously move forward.
It's definitely on our radar. We had money already scheduled for it. This project coming along is an opportunity that we're piggybacking on. And instead of only getting a portion of 266 north of Newberry Road, we're gonna hopefully get everything from Newberry Road all the way up to 8th Lane, reconstructed, nice and pretty. Smooth.
Make it beautiful.
That's all I had, thank you.
Other questions? Board. Seeing none,
Move the plat as written, as
Jordan?
drawn. I move to accept the plat as drawn.
I'll tell you, man, he's ready to go. Did either of you want to make a final argument?
Where were you guys when I was
No?
chair?
Okay. We've already been advised by the decision making. If there are no deliberations, I will take Jordan's motion to move it forward with the conditions that are listed on the screen.
Second.
I have a motion from Jordan, a second from Naeem. Comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously, and that takes us to topics from members. Ms. Kathy, you got anything you wanna? Yeah, after the, you guys take the procedure, right? Ms. Kathy, you got any? Ms. Polo, any member discussions?
This is member announcements. I would love to inform everybody that the Greater Gainesville Chamber of Commerce is hosting a 2-day business conference in Gainesville. We're going to be talking about infrastructure, streets, healthcare, education, and we'd like to invite everybody to come and join us in building the blueprint for the future.
Love it.
Thank you.
Jordan, you got any public
I
announcements?
do. The only public comment I have is a shout out to the commissioners and the mayor for their adult-like manners the other night. I said it earlier in the week, but I just want to give another shout out to them to trying to come to the table with the county and make amends to even though for whatever we end up doing out there at 337. So I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming that day, too. Mr. Long,
I have none.
thank you, sir. Name?
All right, as most of you are aware, I'm the chair of the Newberry Opioid Task Force. Something that's very near and dear to Newberry's heart, our mayor's heart. And we have been blessed that Greenfield Preschool is doing their fundraiser of the month, has chosen the Newberry Opioid Task Force as their fundraiser of the month to give back. And they are doing a fishing charter basket. So if you want to reach out to Greenfield Preschool, Venmo, Greenfield, the raffle tickets are 1 for $20 or 2 for $30. And all the proceeds will be going to the Newberry Opioid Task Force to help continue our fight to spread awareness. Our Rad Kids program has been taking off. As I don't know if anybody is aware, we have more people here, but Alachua County is number 2 in the state when it comes to opioid addictions, which is unacceptable. The only thing I want to be number 2 or number 1 in is state championships for sports and not for opioid addictions. So we're trying to get that number reversed quickly with the help of the mayor and our opioid task force. So if you can find, it's a great gift item, put a raffle ticket in there. You never know. We're using, apparently they're using a local company for the fishing charter, so it's helping them grow their business. It's helping spread awareness for the opioid task force. So maybe if the Gainesville Chamber of Commerce could, share that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful work. I appreciate everybody's help. I have no public comments, so that takes us to I have no announcements. That takes us to public comment. Members of the public, you came out tonight?
I did.
Chat with us, talk to us, tell the board what's on your mind. And did you have a form that you wanted to hand out, sir?
Well, yes.
All right.
Donuts?
And we've already given staff one. And you come on to the podium and give us your name.
Well, first of all, I am looking forward to Eliana being finished because I'm a coffee hell.
Wonderful. Can you say your name into the microphone?
Michael Jones.
Thank you.
I am an Episcopal priest, therefore I talk for a living, and therefore I appointed myself as spokesman. This is a little, I hope perhaps you are writing down where I messed up. You can just make out on the lower right portion that the fence between the McRae's house and mine is wave-like. That is what happens when you use as stringers 1x2s. We are hoping that you will approve that new fencing is made with 2x4s. You will also see that all of the fences, the McRae's are here, our neighbors to the east could not be. Frankly, me and my wife and I are not at all as impacted as the other two. The new street light shines in and kind of bothers us. That's all. But you can see, if you look at the lower left, that there is a terrible view of Eliano's under construction. And I wanted you to see the upper right-hand fence. Those are my eastern neighbors, because everything has what they call dog ears on the what do you call them, planks? I don't know. Pickets, okay. So we are asking for a zoning exception to the 8 feet that are normally there, up to 12 feet. That really does block everything. For us, it blocks some of the sound. But again, we can blink at a street, at a light pole.
Mr. Jones, I want to pause here for a second. We don't have a whole lot of folks wanting public comment, but in order for us to move on that request, we'd have to have you actually on the agenda. We'd have to have staff giving a report and all those kinds of things.
Okay.
But what I would say is a good first step, and I'd be happy to come out to your neighborhood and stand right where these pictures are and kind of hear what the concerns are and what you're asking, and then I might be able to help kind of point you in a better direction to work through the process. So if before you leave, could you give John Paul a cell phone or some way for me to call you and set up sometime where I can come out? And if you guys hang out, I'll go home with you tonight and we can stand there and chat about it tonight.
That would be nice.
Okay?
I would like that.
All right. Other public comment.
My cell is 352 441 5909.
Are you guys letting Mr. Jones be your spokesperson, or did you want to come up and add to it? All right. Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none?
And I knew as a guy didn't know what he was doing, that this had to be put off.
We are adjourned. And if you guys want, we'll head over to your house right now.